Again, Karen, great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out for the program today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Me too. So let's begin our journey before we get into your life of writing and everything that's gone on up to this point. I want to know this. 6 years ago, we all kind of came to this crossroads in our lives with COVID happening. It changed so much. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you live and write and do things today?
Actually, beside the fear of COVID, which in the beginning, without a vaccine and such, and without much knowledge about what we were facing, it was a scary time. But being alone, being isolated for health reasons was not a problem for me because it's a time that I read, that I write, and actually the solitude and not having commitments was sort of the upside, if you will, of going through COVID for me.
So let me ask you this. If I put you in front of a bunch of 13-year-olds at career day and they want to know what you do for a living now and even earlier on in your career, how would you explain your career to a bunch of younger minds?
Um, that's an interesting question. Actually, I would say writing is a great place to create worlds that you'd like to explore, that you find interesting, that you might want to live in. It's a good escape if you're having difficulties in your life, and it's a I, it's a good way to expand your world.
So when you were that age, what did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream job?
Actually, people expect me to say a writer, but I would have loved to have been a singer, a jazz singer. I just can't carry a tune, so there
Who
went that dream. So
who were you listening to? Who were some of the singers and musicians you liked?
uh, Sarah Vaughan, Shirley Horn,
Yeah.
um, uh, those were probably my two female singers. Tony Bennett for sure. So yeah, it's it's kind of not my era, but it was what was played in my house by my parents, and actually fell in love with it. And it's still the music I listen to.
So talk to me a little bit about writers. Who were some writers, some books that were influencing the way that you approach the page?
Um, Interestingly, I'm a huge fan of George Saunders, and I don't write anything like George. His subject matters are not mine, but there's something about the way he crafts a sentence, and it creates characters that I always found appealing. I'm a big Scott Fitzgerald fan. I read The Great Gatsby every year without fail. Um, who else would I say? Toni Morrison was huge because of the way she can capture an environment, a history, characters. Um, Her novels are just visceral. If you want to learn how to feel what you're reading, she's perfect for that.
So who was kind of your
Mm.
like growing up, what were some of the seeds that were planted that made you want to write, to be curious, and to kind of become who you are today?
I think a lot of it had to do with my childhood. We moved around a lot. I was a very introverted kid, and moving every 2 years was very difficult. It was like starting your life all over again, and particularly difficult for me. So, reading and writing is what I did to escape all of that. It was my, if you have parents that say, why don't you go out and play? They sort of make allowances for you if you're doing something constructive or creative. And writing was that for me. It was creating worlds for myself. I love to read. It's just, I've got thousands of books in
Beautiful.
my house. And
Yeah.
it's so reading, I think reading can make you want to write. be
Yeah,
able to have the experience that the author did that you're reading. And when I read, I can't, her name just escaped me. I read a book written by a 14-year-old, and I was about 12 or 13 when I read the book. And I thought, okay, she's done this. This is something I can do.
for
So
sure. Yeah.
so I wrote novels, if you will, and I'll put that in quotes, even as a kid or teenager.
Wow.
So yeah, and this is I write for myself actually. I
Yeah.
never thought about publishing, but with this book now, Illusion of Happiness, it was um, respectful harassment from family and friends that made me finally say, okay, let me try to publish this.
That's a perfect segue into the book. Give me an idea, kind of build the world a little bit of what you were going for and how you constructed this book.
Um, Actually, I think the seed for the book came from a song, lyrics of a song. It's Where do we start? How do you separate the present from the past? And it talks about a breakup in a relationship and having to divide the life you had and finding a way to move forward. And it just got me thinking about that whole concept of what it means to love and lose, um, or just love and leave. It doesn't have to be a loss. So the character of Elizabeth came into my head first, and I modeled very much her childhood on my own. And as I realized that she was burdening her relationships with trying to fill the void of all the things that that she had longed for in her childhood, a sense of security, a sense of affection and love, approbation, that sort of thing. It became what the book was about. That um, we tend to put a lot of emphasis on being in love, but seldom do relationships fall apart because of falling out of love. You, they fall apart because of all the underpinnings, all of the baggage you bring to the relationship starts to put so much weight on it that it crumbles from below. And I, I don't know how often we're aware of what we're bringing to the relationship, the expectations, often unrealistic, of a partner. It's kind of like tacitly saying to them, "Make me whole," make this pain of my past go away. Sometimes your partner realizes that, and the challenge to do that for you becomes hard or impossible. It creates all of this disappointment because unrealistic expectations lead inevitably to disappointment. So I was exploring that idea in a relationship. And with Elizabeth, she had this intense love for Michael. And that part was very, very real, but neither one of them realized how much pain they were bringing to the relationship. And it just, the weight of trying to make each other happy, um, trying to make each other whole just became too overwhelming. So they break up, and it's 7 years later that he comes back into her life. So now, not only are we revisiting that, but we also have to deal with how memories impact how we see past relationships, why we remember the good and not the bad, or conversely, why we always remember the bad, not the good. So that was sort of the second element I was looking at in this story.
So, who's been your inspiration? Who's been your muse in your life to write and to become who you are?
Um, to tell you the truth, I don't think I have one. I know that sounds strange, but I don't think I have one.
Yeah.
It's it's hard to explain, but it comes from a need I have to do this rather than um, emulating someone um, or 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 trying to live vicariously through someone. Uh, I don't I don't think that's my situation. It's just I can't not write. It's what gives me pleasure. It's it just fills this. Uh, it just it fills the need to be alone, um, but creating spaces for myself to go. It's like reading. You get to travel. You get to meet interesting people, and you're still in your chair. I think it's the same kind of thing for me with writing.
So, if you could get into a time machine and go back in time and be a fly on the wall and watch a writer create, we don't see that a lot. We see all these documentaries of people doing things, but writing is such a solitary act. Is there a writer that you would love to watch how they created their words and how they created their pages?
Um, hmm. I yeah, let's see. I think I probably would say again Toni Morrison.
Yeah,
Um, I would love if you could see how somebody's mind works.
yeah,
And that would be amazing to see how her mind works. But I always, if when I visualize her writing, I visualize her crying as she writes.
yeah,
That because she just manages to release a whole lot of pain under her pages. Um, I'd love to see how much she gets right the first time,
yeah,
that she doesn't rewrite, because I just have this sense of perfection with her, that she knows what she wants to say, and her skill in being able to say it right is so, I would think, so amazing. So, yeah, I'd like to see her discipline because that's a very hard part about writing.
yeah.
When things are not working, to keep yourself in your seat at your pad or at your laptop and just to keep doing it until you get it done. I always feel that your first go round, getting it on the page for the first time, is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Um, Editing is so much easier because now you have something to work with.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see her struggle through that.
Yeah. So, what is the motivation for you every day to wake up and to love this world of writing, taking care of your own soul, all of these things to do it at a high level? What is that motivation for you every day?
Um, I think, let me quote or paraphrase E.B. White. He said, um, never forget to look for the presence of wonder. And it's what I wake up with thinking every day, that that I'm going to look for the wonderful outside my door, inside my house, in the meal I fix. And it, all of that becomes part of why I write, because I need to put the wonder someplace. And then I put it on the page.
So, let's say you had a dream tonight. You ran into that young version of you dreaming of becoming a jazz singer, and you walk into a room and you click play on a film projector and a 60-second highlight reel of your life comes up. Is that young version of you going to believe your life turned out this way?
Actually, I think so.
Yeah,
Actually, I think so. Um, Maybe minus the publishing part, but I always knew I was going to write books.
yeah,
That that was going to be my life because I just enjoy it so much. I have to say this part of it, getting published and talking about the book and having people read it and give me feedback. That's a whole experience I probably never saw but so far it's been very gratifying. I have a friend, well, he died not too long ago, but he was an English professor at a college here in Rhode Island. And I gave him an early draft. And I just held my breath for the week or whatever it took him to read it. And when he came back to me, he said, Karen, you need to do this because you can write. And that was, it was so revelatory. It I think it went back to when I was a kid and I thought all of this was possible. Because, you never sustain that feeling 100%. Some days you think so, some days you don't.
Yeah.
But when he said that, it just, it was like, opening the shade and the sun comes in.
Yeah.
So,
So on that 60-second highlight reel, what are you the proudest or the happiest about?
um, I, it's not my tendency to do things that are so public. So I'm proudest that I followed through with that. Um, just the standing in front of people talking about the book, or actually, though I found this podcast very easy. It's probably you that makes me feel comfortable to talk. But so I would say, kind of getting outside my shell and being available publicly is probably the thing I'm most proud of.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, readers, everyone that knows you in different capacities, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Um, I think I probably see myself to some extent the way people see me. People have always seen me as the person that can make things happen, that I'm organized, in charge. If you have a problem, you can come to me, kind of thing. Um, and I think people feel secure and safe with me. So that's wonderful. Um, I think what they don't see is the side that needs the same thing back, which often happens if you're the one that always seems to be the strong one. Nobody thinks you have a weakness. So, other than, having people see that side, and of course, that's my fault for just not exposing that. But I think otherwise, I probably see myself the way they do.
So I'm looking at all these books behind you, all these worlds, and that's the beauty of reading, is there's this enormous universe of things and settings and themes. So my question to you is this: if you could get into a time machine and go back to one of those worlds in one of these books, what world, what book would you love to go into and literally watch everything that was written that became a part of your imagination?
Um, strangely, I would say maybe Willa Cather's O Pioneer. There was something about the adventure of exploring a whole new world, going out into a world you know nothing about. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're going to find, whether you're going to survive, whether it's safe. Um, I can't even imagine what it takes to do that sort of thing. And I would love to be able to challenge myself and experience that, the struggle of the community, um, the, the way people stood together as a family, as friends, as neighbors to survive all that they did. So, yeah, I would love to be able to do that.
I love
Whether
that.
I would have the guts to do it is a whole nother thing, but it would
Sure.
be nice to be forced into that world.
Certainly so. So, Karen, if anyone wants to get Illusion of Happiness, they want to reach out, any of the other good work and business in your world, where do they go?
You can get it from Amazon. You can get it from Barnes and Noble. Those are probably the two easiest. I have a website, Karen Gray Books, and if you go there, you can click on ordering. It makes it very simple.
Okay. Karen, this has been wonderful. So good to meet you. Thank you so much. Best of luck
Thank
on the
you.
book. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You bet.